Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about Mending Wall by Robert Frost. Now, before I go into summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. All right, Mending Wall by Robert Frost. Very interesting work here. A lot of things are going on. So we have this wall. It's made of stone. It's a wall, but it's like a fence. We have the speaker of the poem and his neighbor. The speaker has pine trees. The neighbor has apple trees. So I mean, trees ain't gonna get up. They're not gonna get up and walk. And they don't have livestock. So the speaker's like, why do we even need this wall? Like, why is this even important? I mean, why do we keep fixing this thing? And nature keeps breaking it down because every winter, the natural effects of the winter break down the wall, and there's hunters chasing rabbits, and they impact the wall, they damage the wall. So the stones are always moved out of place, and after the winter's over, they have to come back and fix the wall and fix this pretty much fence basically. Again, it's a wall. But the neighbors um, keep saying that it's necessary, that having this wall keeps good neighbors, having this wall. He's pretty much saying, the neighbor keeps saying, like, this wall keeps things orderly, this wall keeps things straight, this wall creates good neighbors. And the speaker doesn't understand that. But the neighbors, even though they don't have animals, even though they don't have livestock, even though they have trees, the neighbor keeps insisting that we need this wall. Um, you know, it's gonna keep us on good terms, which is a concept that requires a lot of thinking. The poem ends in the same place. Having this fence, keeping this fence, holding on to this fence from the neighbor's perspective, it's going to keep a good neighbor. So it's like a proverb that the neighbor lives on, which is just really fascinating. In terms of deeper meaning, in terms of analysis, there's a lot to unpack here. We're looking at boundaries, all right? So the neighbor wants to keep this boundary alive. This is my property, this is your property, uh, pay attention to your property. I'm going to pay attention to my property. This is very deep because I think in life we all need boundaries. We need boundaries with our friends. We need boundaries with our family members. If you live a life and you don't have boundaries, people can just step on your stuff and get involved in your stuff. We all need privacy. We all need things to be private sometimes. And sometimes when you have clear and you have a line between your property and your neighbor's property, not to get in not to go put a chair on your neighbor's property. I know that sounds ridiculous, but what if one neighbor just starts to put stuff on the other person's property? I mean, if I'm taking care of my grass, I'm taking care of my lawn, I'm taking care of the exterior of my house, and my neighbor just feels we're just so, we're maybe one neighbor feels like we're good buddies and all, and like they decide to just put some junk on my lawn, on my grass, and I'm like, that's unacceptable. Because maybe I like to see my grass and I like to see my property nice and clean and nice and neat. And maybe my neighbor's not like that, and maybe my neighbor's dirty. Maybe he likes junk on his lawn, junk on his property. I don't want that junk to just get anywhere near my property. Maybe because again, boundaries are important because humans were very picky. We're very little things matter to us. We might say little things don't matter to us, but humans are picky. We're picky with our food. We're picky with everything. The people are our spouses, our life choices, colors, hair, clothes. So if we're picky with all these things, why wouldn't we be picky with the boundaries of our property and our neighbor's property? So I do get the neighbor's perspective in this poem, but the speaker doesn't see why this fence, why this mending wall, this wall is needed. Like why are we trying to have boundaries? Why do we need this divide? So it's a different perspective. Some people understand, some people don't. Because some people, when they have a good neighbor, um, they just feel like, we're all chums here, we're all buddies here. Why can't we just take out this barrier and just be friends? Um, you got a friend in me nonsense. But listen, this is why countries have borders, all right? We all need a mending wall. We need a mending wall in relationships. We need a mending wall in everything that we do, because clear lines help us understand people's bubbles, people's personal space. Um, and it's absolutely necessary. You know what's mine and you know what's yours, and we keep we keep people in check. I mean, checks and balances are definitely required, not just in government, but also in property and people's emotions and people's personal lives. Because if you don't have checks and balances, things can get very, um, you know, too up close and personal. And I'm one person. I like to have my privacy. I like to have my mending wall. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having close friends, but there's such a thing as too much sharing. I mean, nowadays with social media and people just getting nitty gritty with their personal space. I mean, some people just overshare nowadays on social media. I don't need to know everything that you do in your house. I don't need to know everything that you do in your bedroom. But nowadays, with social media, no one has a mending wall anymore. Nobody has boundaries anymore because everybody's in the nitty gritty. Everybody's in everybody's business. And so that's what I'm saying. This poem goes deep. It really goes deep because mending walls are important. Um, Maybe the speaker doesn't get that. Maybe the speaker is just all about freedom and let's all be buddy buddy. But sometimes buddy buddy can get quite nasty, can quite dirty. So this idea of fences and barriers keeping good neighbors, I think it's true because it clearly sets up a boundary. What's yours is yours. What's mine is mine. We don't need to get into any disputes about anything getting out of place. So very interesting poem here. It can get much deeper than this because it's a very it brings up a fascinating concept. But that's all I had to say about it. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.